I'm Joe Imhoff, and I'm the manager for Skyline Hawaii at the Haleakala Zipline course. I'm also the program manager for Skyline Conservation Initiative, and we are a zipline tour, but we also are a conservation program.
Hmm.
And our main mission is to restore native habitats for future generations, because here in Maui is the extinction epicenter of America.
Mm.
Unfortunately, 2/3 of our native plants have gone extinct over time. So what we have left, we need to protect at all costs.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wait, so how long has Skyline been around for, and how long have y'all been working on conservation efforts?
Skyline Eco Adventures opened up here on Haleakala Ranch in 2002
Hmm.
and opened up the first zipline tour in the United States. At the very beginning, Danny Boren had a conservation thought of ecotourism. You know, how do you make an eco tour? He started planting native plants in an area where there weren't any.
Hmm.
On this section of landscape, there was one cluster of koa trees, and today we've planted over 22,000 native plants on
Wow.
this landscape. So people get to zipline into the canopy of a native forest.
Hmm.
And we're right at the intersection of tourism and conservation and education and agriculture.
It's really cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I've done it myself, and I think it's like it's so beautiful. But also, just over the last few years, I've seen it grow and flourish. So you were mentioning, in this gulch specifically, it's been dry for decades, and
Yeah.
just in the last few years, water has started to come back. Can you speak a little bit to why that's the case?
Yeah. So the slopes of Haleakala, we're up here at about 4,000 feet in elevation, and historically it was a cloud forest. It's like a lei that you wear, right? It's the lei of Haleakala. When you're down country, you look up on the mountain and you see a cloud lei.
Mm-hmm.
That's right where we are, is in that lei. Back in the day, Maui used to be 100% native canopy. What that would do is it would bring the cloud down the mountain. It would push the cloud down the mountain. And down where it's really dry now, like where the resorts are in Wailea and Kihei,
Yep.
they get maybe 6 to 10 inches of rain a year at the most.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they would have gotten probably 60 inches of rain per year.
Wow. Right. So these invasive species, like we're looking at some of them, the eucalyptus, and there's other plants that are coming in. Like what's the work specifically that you're doing at Skyline to ensure that you're, you know, not only removing invasive species but also replanting native species? Like what are the native species?
Yeah, it's a really interesting relationship that we have with this landscape, right? The invasive species were planted with good intentions, at the turn of the century. They planted trees from all over the world, and some of the most prolific, fast-growing trees were the eucalyptus from Australia and the Australian black wattle. The trees that grew in a desert climate, they planted them here in the tropics where water is abundant, and they grew like trees on steroids. Well, the problem with that is they suck our water tables dry. Like the
Mm.
trees are like straws that just suck all the water out of the ground. So it does the opposite of what a native forest does. They say the native forest is a landscape sponge, right? It collects the clouds and it brings moisture and it fills up aquifers. But
Right.
the invasive forest, it dries and depletes aquifers completely and it kills off biodiversity.
Cool. So that's why you plant the koa with the sandalwood, with the maile, with all these other different plants because they kind of work together.
They all are connected.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's super cool.
And it's a sponge, it's moisture, and it's how you can have fire prevention. We have some of the worst wildfires that just devastated our community because we have this desert forest and no water in the soil.
Hmm.
And when you think about fire safety, like on the mainland, they make these big fire breaks, so it's just open space.
Hmm.
You can't do that in a tropical environment because invasive species grow. If you have just open space, it'll be all invasive species. So they
Right.
call it shaded green breaks.
Oh.
And we're creating shaded green breaks. We didn't realize it at the time that we were doing it, but now the fire guys come up here and they're like, "Oh, yeah, this is a shaded green break, but this is the best way to prevent fires into the future."
Yeah, you
Is
can
to
actually see that there's like water collecting on these leaves. Nice.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, the rain follows the forest.
Yeah.
So if we can plant enough healthy native habitat, we can restore the water resources. And that's essential for life to exist on an island.
Hmm.
You can't have hotels and waterfalls if you don't have water.
I love Skyline Hawaii so much. I've known y'all for years and I love the work you're doing. And I think one of the core tenets of like how your values and what you do is this concept of do good, have fun. I'd love to like learn more about where that came from and how you ensure that this value kind of sustains through your guides and your employees and the work that you're doing.
Yeah, so our tagline, do good, have fun, you know, we kind of live by it, you know. Our job is super fun and we do good things.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's kind of it's pretty simple of a concept, but it's really important, and I feel like it's something that could be replicated everywhere. You know, it kind of goes along the lines of regenerative tourism and regenerative systems,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so important for companies that make money off of experiences on the land to give back and make that land better. You know, some people come just to ride a zip line. They leave with this crazy educated experience of ecology and conservation and why it's all important,
Yeah,
you know.
totally.
It's like hiding the vitamins in the Skittles, right?
Yes.
You come to just, I'm on a zip line, and then you leave with this like mind-blowing experience of, wow, like it's sad, I want to cry because all the forest is gone, but
Yeah.
I'm happy because we're bringing it back. And you know, the forest disappeared over time, but it's not gone, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's been lost, but it's not forgotten.
Yeah.
And it's our mission to bring it back into a place where people can easily experience it.
Wow.
So everything that we've planted here comes from as close to the site as we can possibly find. All of it is from Haleakala. So we're not taking plants from Big Island and planting them. We're not even going to West Maui and planting them.
Right.
All this forest has the ecological integrity of a Haleakala forest.
Yeah. So this is like you had mentioned. This is a Haleakala sandalwood.
Yep.
So where did this tree come from?
Up the mountain from right where we are, about a mile up the hill there, there's this little area. It's a reserve called Pu'upahu Preserve. And within that preserve, there's a few clusters of plants, sandalwood trees. And the whole mountain used to be covered with sandalwood from Haleakala all the way down to the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And it was clear cut and harvested. And then a lot of animals wiped them out, and they're still devastated. Goats and deer are just destroying them, and we could lose them all.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's 11 left in this little area.
Wow.
So what we've done is we've gone and on our GPS we've located where every single one of them is, and we go up there and we monitor them. We build fences around them to protect them, and we treat the soil to make them happy, and then they're blooming and they're seeding. So we've collected those seeds over time,
Mm-hmm.
and we've planted 250 of those. This is one of them from the
Wow.
seed that's the closest to this site. It's almost like the Lorax from Dr. Seuss, right? They wiped out the whole forest. There was one seed left, and unless, you know,
Yes.
this is like the Lorax part 2
Yeah, I love it.
because we're propagating it, and now we have a seed bank that's living, and there's seeds right right here. Here's the
Oh,
seeds.
cool.
So we're putting out thousands of seeds every single year, and we're propagating those, and we're planting them here, but we're also sharing with our neighbors. We had a horrible wildfire that burnt within a half a mile of this site this year, and now there's a big open burn scar. These seeds are going to recolonize that landscape,
Yeah.
and a native forest could literally rise out of the ashes of a horrible wildfire.
Well, thank you so much for your time. This was awesome. I always love coming back. I love hearing your stories and love learning from you. So I so appreciate your time. And
Yeah.
yeah, this has been awesome.
And I'm excited to welcome all the people from these tours to come up and ride a zip line with us and plant trees, you know,
Yeah.
because this is really important work and I can't do it myself. You know, this climate change is real, extinction is real, and we need the help of everybody we can get,
Mm-hmm.
whether somebody riding a zip line tour or somebody making a donation. You know, everybody can be a part of the solution to
Mm-hmm.
fix the ecological disaster that's occurred.
Do you know every tree?
I do.
I feel like you know what every tree in the entire conservation area
Trees
is.
are some of my best friends.
I love that.